graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised. Coming up on Animal Cops Miami, a hoarding nightmare.
We need to talk.
You people treat me like a criminal.
I can always call the police.
Survival at its limits.
She's not gonna last much longer.
It stinks to be a dog, with a family like this anyway.
And a deception exposed.
It's unbelievable. He's actually lied to me.
Miami, home to 1 million pets, 500 species, and over 2 million residents. Who's there to protect them when their worlds collide? A specialist squad of animal agents united by one mission. These are the Miami Animal Cops. At the southern tip of Florida, on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean, stands America's third largest skyline. Once known as a hotbed of crime and corruption, Miami has worked hard to rebuild its reputation as the place for relaxation and fun. While thousands flock here each year for sunshine and a good time, in the north of the city, at the Animal Services headquarters, it's business as usual. The Animal Cruelty Investigation Team is checking in for duty. A harsh reminder that the darker side of Miami lives on.
I'm gonna grab half and start sorting through them, because
Lead investigators Kathy Labrada and Luis Salgado are prioritizing the cases that came in during the night.
7 out Southwest.
Officer Lopez, how are you, sir?
Number of interesting calls today. No shortage of cruelty. It's gonna be a busy day.
90th Avenue.
It's Labrada's third year working as an animal cruelty investigator in the city that's been her home for over 20 years. Policing and protecting Miami's pets has become her passion. But as well as bringing rewards, for Labrada, the job also has its challenges.
The most frustrating part of the job is probably the rules. There are so many rules that we have to follow. There's been so many cases where you'll see an animal that you want nothing more than just to go in and get him out of the horrible situation he's in, but the law requires certain conditions be met. And one of those requirements is that to remove an animal from private property, it needs to be in distress. And distress is really defined as, would the animal die without your intervention within 24 hours? And a lot of times the answer is no. So although you can be looking at a dog that's severely underweight and covered in skin condition and is so obviously suffering, our hands are really tied.
It's a predicament Labrada is facing in an ongoing case in Northwest Miami. A dog has been abandoned by its owners, and its health is deteriorating fast. Labrada is heading back to where the dog was last seen. Today may be her last chance to help him.
I couldn't remove the dog when I made my initial response to this address. And the reason for that is I had been provided with information that the animal has an owner and the dog was on private property. It's not a fenced property, but the dog knows it's his home, and he's kind of living in the back bushes on the rear of the property. So I can't take an owned animal off of private property without the owner's consent. I did post an order for veterinary care, which hasn't been complied with, which isn't surprising. You don't need someone to post an order for veterinary care to know that something's wrong. You look at this dog and you can see he's in horrible shape. Unfortunately, the disposable dog attitude is something that's fairly common down here. The dog gets sick or gets hit by a car and needs some sort of veterinary care. And the solution is get rid of the dog.
Times are tough. With a struggling economy, Miami's already huge stray population is getting bigger. There are over 30,000 strays living on the city streets, and this little dog is the latest to be left to fend for himself.
The dog is sitting on the front step, wondering why he can't come in. Basically, he lost his hair, he's mangy and scabby and bloody and crusty, so they don't love him anymore. He knows that he lives there. Dogs don't lose their loyalty the way that people do. And to have been part of the family for a year and then, you know, you start getting sick and all of a sudden you're out. It stinks. It stinks to be a dog. with a family like this anyway.
Neighbor Bridget Thompson has been witnessing the dog's rejection by his owners, who are also ignoring Labrada's notices to get in touch.
They came home, and they read the letter, they hung them back on the door, and then left. They took the bowls, the water bowls that you saw the last time.
Right.
They removed all that off the back porch. She had a blanket in the back, that's gone. So what I did is got a water jug, cut the top off of it, put it outside myself, and put it back there.
Really sad.
According to Thompson's testimony, the owners have clearly relinquished their ownership of the dog.
I don't know what they'd do without, the animals would do without people like you guys.
Without food or water, the dog is unlikely to survive. Labrada decides to take him back to Animal Services.
You're okay. You're okay. You can't let everything break your heart. It's going to regardless, but you have to channel it into something. And it's not a matter of not caring. I couldn't care more than I do. But when I see the animals that are suffering and I see what people do, it makes me angry. And that's what keeps me driven. That's what makes me want to come back the next day.
In this condition, the little dog is not adoptable. But Animal Services will do all they can to give it the best chance of survival.
God, you can smell how rotten he is. The veterinarians will be able to make a diagnosis, and hopefully it's not too late to help him. But this is a very advanced condition that he has. I do think about it, and it's not something you can get out of your head when you're seeing this day after day after day, and it really doesn't seem like the situation's getting any better. I mean, ideally we'd work ourselves out of a job. We would have no cruelty calls. We'd have nothing to do. But unfortunately, it's not like that.
Labrada leaves a $500 citation, and she and the little dog head back to base, where his future will be determined.
Good morning, South Florida. Going to be a hot one. Temperatures are expected to soar into the mid-90s. Our top stories coming up. First, let's take a look.
Across town, Labrada's teammates, investigators Luis Salgado and Fernando Casadoval, are heading to the house of a possible hoarder.
We're en route to a residential area in Homestead where Officer Isaguas was out yesterday, referenced multiple dogs on the property. He observed 4 dogs in the rear of the house, and who knows how many dogs inside the house. The windows are so dirty and filthy he couldn't establish how many dogs were inside the house, but he did hear a lot of dogs barking. I hate to say that most of the time when we go to a call where there's multiple dogs like this, it's usually a hoarder, and the dogs aren't in the best condition.
Under Homestead city ordinances, homeowners who own less than 1 acre are allowed a maximum of 4 dogs. Any more, and they can be cited for a minimum of $500. The hoarder has already been cited, and unless he's cleaned up his act, the citation will multiply. But as the investigators arrive, it's clear the situation hasn't improved.
When you go to a hoarder house, the minute you just drive up to the place, the smell just, knocks you out. It just is so repugnant. It just comes out and hits you in the face.
Smell through that door. Smell through there.
The windows are all full of feces and cobwebs and filth.
Salgado questions a neighbor about the tenant's whereabouts.
He won't be back till 5 o'clock tonight.
And he usually comes what time in the morning?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock? See if I can call him.
He gives the tenant a call.
How you doing today, sir? We have some concerns about the dogs you have inside the house. How many dogs do you have on the property?
The man quickly admits he has more dogs than he's allowed.
6 adult dogs and 9 puppies? Okay. That's why I need you to come out here. I need to meet with you out here to look at these dogs. If not, what you're going to force me to do is get a search warrant to take the dogs from the property. Okay, I'll be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock then.
The hoarder agrees to meet with Salgado in the morning, but the investigators are suspicious that the situation is far worse than he's willing to admit.
He says we're not going to be able to go in his house, so I can imagine what the house looks like inside with all those dogs in there.
Let me go ahead and take a look at it. There's no puppies. That's not
Well, he says
puppy.
6 adult dogs and 9 puppies. There's a dog in there.
Oh, he's got to have like 15, 20 dogs in here.
And there's worse to come. At the side of the property, the investigators discover a locked garage.
I can smell the ammonia and the feces from cats.
Yeah, you gotta have a lot of cats inside that garage. Now, what I'm wondering is, I don't see no air conditioning. Again, today it's close to 89 degrees. It's very hot, even though we're not sweating right now, but it's pretty hot. I don't see the air conditioner running, so you can imagine it. That's gonna be like a little oven inside.
In the hot Miami sun with no air conditioning, the cats' lives are in danger.
Okay, what's the plan?
Game plan.
Game plan. Let's come back at 5. Don't let
and we'll go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll go from there.
Let's do that.
I think that's a better idea. And we'll go from there.
Exactly. If we gotta leave a few civil citations.
The investigators have information that the hoarder is due to return home at 5 o'clock. They decide to ambush him.
I'm not going to give them the nighttime or the evening or half a day to clean up and remove animals that may be sick or something. So I'm going to come back at 5.
I wouldn't like to be in there with no air conditioning, and we don't know if they have water. So that's why we gotta make contact with this guy today, not tomorrow, today. So we're gonna surprise him when he comes back. He's not gonna expect us today, but we are gonna be back.
At Miami-Dade Animal Services, it's nearing the end of another busy day. While the latest arrivals are settling in the veterinary wing, investigator Kathy Labrada is waiting with a little dog named Sherlock, who was abandoned by his owners. Having gained his trust, a bond has started to form between them, and before she heads home for the night, Labrada wants to find out what Sherlock's future may hold.
He started off a little timid, but I think he's actually pretty okay. Yeah, you're all right, buddy. You're so itchy.
She's brought him to veterinary technician Garson Dupuis to get a diagnosis on his skin condition.
He doesn't look too good. What I'm gonna do is skin scraping to see what's happening with him. And later on, he's gonna have to be seen by a veterinarian. He's definitely on the way. It's okay, come here.
Carson's going to go ahead and put a muzzle on him. In order to get his skin scraping, he's going to take a scalpel blade and actually scrape a bit of the skin off and have a look at it under the microscope to try to determine what sort of mange this is. I know, it's a little scary. It's okay. I know, puppy. This poor dog.
There are 2 types of mange. One is highly contagious. Sherlock's chances of adoption will depend on which type he has and how long it will take him to recover.
It's so intensely itchy that the dog will scratch and scratch and scratch until they have open wounds as a result, and then those open wounds can develop bacterial infections. So this dog is suffering terribly. Mites are tiny little 8-legged critters that are related to spiders. Just imagine having that crawling around, just thousands of them underneath your skin. He has to be just so miserable and so itchy and so uncomfortable.
The skin test shows Sherlock has Demodex. It's not contagious, but it's more difficult to treat, and the shelter doesn't have the funds to pay for the specialized care he needs. Having been rejected by his own family, his only chance of recovery is if someone else agrees to take up his case and pay for his care.
At this stage, he needs people more than ever.
While animal services are the first port of call for any domestic animal case, Miami-Dade's diverse animal population requires the combined effort of investigators and agents with specialist knowledge. Working alongside the ASD, horse expert Lori Wagner responds to large animal cruelty and neglect cases from her base at the South Florida SPCA.
Heather, hi, it's Lori. Just want to let you know I'm en route, and I'll be there in
She's
about,
just received a call from Miami Gardens Police about a horse in need of help.
The police officer who's on the scene said the horse is very thin, but she's not a horse expert, and they called and asked for our assistance. If a horse doesn't have sufficient amounts of water, they can dehydrate and die within a day or two. We'll see, when we see the horse, see if we can talk to somebody and ask some questions and find out what really is going on.
The police will accompany Wagner at the scene. Nothing is known of the identity of the horse's owner, and she may need protection.
Hi, how are you? Hi.
They take her to the stable situated on a barren scrubland. The horse, a Palomino, is pitifully thin.
She looks really, really bad.
The police questioned a woman who was leasing the stables to try to get more information about the owner.
And has she said whether anybody's been here for the horse or not, or?
She said nobody's been here to feed it or give it water for the past week.
The horse is also suffering from a painful spine disorder known as swayback, caused by being overridden. Shocked by her condition, horse lover Michelle Wilcox and her 12-year-old daughter Kayla called the police.
She loves my daughter for some reason. I was meant to show up here because if I hadn't, this horse would have died, and that is uncalled for.
They've been giving her water or anything like that?
I think she just got water today.
Just today,
yeah.
Do they have water here, or you
know, I had to go down to the lake and get it.
There's no water here.
They can't get the generator started, so they can't give her water.
Let's see if she wants a drink from the lake.
With no supply of water, the horse is dangerously dehydrated. For the last few weeks, she's been able to see the lake just a few yards from her stable, but been unable to reach it.
She's definitely thirsty.
Wagoner has no doubt that the horse is suffering from prolonged neglect.
She has little to no muscle. You know, she's probably a good 100, 150 pounds underweight. You know, for the most part, she hasn't been attended to, you know, on a regular basis in quite a while. She's very hungry because they're not going to eat these dead leaves.
For Michelle and Kayla, it's been an upsetting experience, but thanks to them, the horse is now in safe hands.
I'll sleep better tonight, and so will she, because she was very upset.
The police leave a property receipt stating that they've seized the horse. If the horse's owner tries to reclaim her, he could be arrested and charged with animal cruelty and face up to 5 years in jail.
Don't cry. She's all right, okay? You did a good thing.
In the meantime, the horse will be taken back to the South Florida SPCA, where they can make a full assessment of the damage that's been done and give her the care and treatment that will help save her life. After the 6-mile journey, Wagoner is ready to introduce the Palomino to her temporary home at the South Florida SPCA. It's a world away from the barren stables where she was being kept. And after weeks of starvation, she has only one thing on her mind.
Grass. She ain't seen grass in a long time. She's definitely very hungry. She's not even interested in her surroundings. All she wants is grass. But there wasn't a blade of grass on the piece of property that she came from, so, and they said she's been there approximately a year, so she hasn't had grass in a long time, because there's never been grass there.
Wagoner has worked with horses all her life and was deeply saddened to witness the horse confined to its stall.
It's not right. Horses should always have grass to eat. When we adopt them out, we always try to place them at places where they have grass, where they have turnout, where they can get out and run and not live in stalls all the time. You know, it's fine if they're in there part of the day, but horses need to be out, they need to run in a field, they need to graze, and they need to be able to do horse things. I think they need it for their mental well-being as well as their physical well-being. I like to think that she was happy to get out of there. Sometimes, you know, you wonder if they know you're trying to help them. And, you know, hopefully she'll do okay here.
Thanks to the South Florida SPCA and Michelle and Kayla, the Palomino will be well fed and cared for, while Wagoner gets to work on finding her a permanent home. 30 miles south of Miami, investigators Luis Salgado and Fernando Casadoval are on a stakeout. A hoarder is due to arrive home, and the investigators plan to ambush him to confront him about the condition of his pets.
We did set a tentative appointment with him for tomorrow, but the conditions that we saw there, I don't want to wait. I want to surprise him. I don't want to give him an opportunity to move animals or relocate animals. I want to catch him in the act. So the tip we got from the neighbor said he comes back between 5 and 5:30. So we're here now. We're en route over there to see what's going on.
The hoarder has already admitted to having 15 dogs on the property. The investigators are concerned that they're not receiving proper care and may be living in dirty, unhygienic conditions. But most worrying of all is a locked garage containing cats. In the hot Miami sun with no air conditioning, the cats' lives are in danger.
Hi.
The tenant, Carlos Rodriguez, is home and upset he's been ambushed.
And we agree tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, the problem with this is we were very concerned about the health of the animals. That's why we came back.
You people treat me like a criminal.
No, criminal. No. I'm not treating you like a criminal. I haven't said anything to you. Okay?
Because I'm entitled to this.
Okay, please. Can I see your ID, please?
What for? Are you a police officer?
Animal control officer. Yes, sir. I want to know who I'm talking to you.
And
okay, I can always call the police.
Call the police.
Yeah.
What about this guy treating me with the police officer in my home?
Okay, let me explain to you. Calm down. We're here to try to take care of the animals.
He's not doing that.
Okay, we've had a lot of complaints from the neighborhood about the conditions of the animals. How many cats do you have?
Probably 10.
10 cats. Okay, I need to see how they're doing because the smell coming from the garage is pretty bad. So I'm concerned for the health of the animal. I understand. That's all I need to see. Look at my position. I've got complaints. You do have a lot of animals. I just need to look at them. That's all I'm asking of you.
Rodriguez is refusing to let the investigators inside. But Salgado insists he take a look at the dogs.
I'd really like to get inside because, he could only bring out what's good and what's not. I know he's got a lot of dogs. He's got to have more than 10.
What's his name? I don't even have names.
You don't have names? Come on.
They're terribly afraid.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Okay, don't worry. Go by yourself and see it, and, He got it. Carlos, can we do something so this doesn't happen to you again? Is it okay if we go in and just look at them all together? I'm sure I believe you that you clean your house and that you have everything clean.
No, it's not clean.
Okay, well, because they're scared.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
When we deal with a normal case, animal cruelty case, you'll see 1, 2, 3 animals at the most. On the hoarder cases, it's overwhelming amount of animals, and it creates a big problem, not only for the animals, but for the humans that are living in the house and the community.
I count 12 inside. Carlos.
Inside the house, the conditions are as they feared. 12 adult dogs are living in squalor.
The scene in there was very grim. The feces all over the floor, urine, the smell was horrific. And then you have these dogs that they're domestic animals that they're supposed to interact with people, locked in a dark house.
The dogs are nervous and unsocialized, but are in fair health. But as the investigators enter the garage, they make a shocking discovery.
What's wrong with that one, Carlos? They were fighting?
There are 10 cats, and 2 of them are in desperate need of vet care.
I just want to take a picture of you.
I don't have words for this place. I need to talk. I need to talk to him. We need to resolve this. He can't care for all these animals properly. I know he has good intentions, but it's just overwhelming. The conditions here aren't fit for him to live here. It's just... Carlo, come in here a minute, please.
Can you do something about this too today?
I will take
this one and that one,
Tomorrow morning.
Please.
I will give you the card of the vet.
Okay.
Despite being in such bad shape, under Miami law, the investigators are unable to confiscate the cats. Salgado insists that Rodriguez takes them to a vet as soon as possible. It's clear he's overwhelmed by the situation.
We need to help you.
Yes, I need help big time.
We need to help you. What if I tell you, keep 4 animals, 4 dogs, the ones that have been with you the longest, the ones you have more attachment to. Give me the rest of the dogs. Are you going to work with me?
Yes, but you have to give me at least a couple of days.
No. I'll tell you what. No. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you till Tuesday. But I still need you to take those 2 cats to the vet.
Yeah,
that's
please,
my main concern. Because it's not healthy for them, and it's not healthy for you. Yeah, you know, you're an animal lover, and you're trying to take care of as many as you can, but it gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming.
When I first met this guy, he was aggressive. Now when we started talking to him, he broke my heart. He's crying out loud for help.
Are we going to do that? We have an agreement?
Yes. You
sure?
You call me Tuesday.
Rodriguez agrees to take the cats to a vet. The investigators will be back to remove and rehome the dogs he decides to surrender and put an end to the hoarding.
I think this part of the investigation came out pretty good. We'll be back with him on Tuesday, and hopefully we'll take as many animals as he's willing to give to us, with as less stress to the animals and to him as we can. Okay, Carlos, thank you very much, okay. and I will be in touch with you on Tuesday.
At the back of the Animal Services shelter, the C ward is closed to the public. The most sick or nervous dogs are held here, and for 2 days it's been home to Sherlock, the little dog with mange. The adoption team have been reaching out to rescue partners in the hope that someone will agree to pay for the medical treatment he needs to recover. Today, their efforts have paid off. One of the rescue partners, Big Dog Ranch Rescue, has agreed to help and has made the 70-mile journey from their home in West Palm Beach. Shannon Maldonado and Judy Stith have an appointment with rescue coordinator Sherry Wright, who takes them to see him.
Oh my God. Hello, baby. Oh, Sherry, this is sad. Yeah, but he's a beautiful dog. This is heartbreaking. This is really heartbreaking.
Maldonado has been caring for sick dogs for 2 years, and this is one of the worst cases she's seen.
Let's go.
They've arranged for Sherlock to be seen by a vet right away near their rescue ranch in West Palm Beach. Only then can they be certain what the future holds for him. For the little dog, this may just be the beginning of a long and challenging journey. In Miami, investigator Luis Salgado is heading out of the city to follow up on one of his cases. He's received a call from the hoarder, who says he's found new homes for most of his pets and has complied with Salgado's demands.
I heard from him, and he has taken the cats to the vet. He has the vet bills, and he's gotten rid of all the cats. He's given them out to different people to care for them. And also, he's only stayed with 4 dogs, which is what he's allowed to keep in a residential area. He has all the paperwork, so hopefully when we get there, he's done everything I've told him to do. And, and the animals are in a better place.
Salgado is pleased that the man has agreed to cooperate and wants to double-check that everything's in order.
Carlos, how are you? How you feeling? Are you better off with less animals? Yeah. That's good.
Rodriguez shows Salgado receipts for veterinary care for the 2 injured cats.
Skin scraping, they did a skin scraping, antibiotics. Okay, all right, that's good, that's beautiful. That's the 2 cats. And then you stayed with 4 dogs. Okay, where are you keeping those? Are those the ones you're keeping in the back? Okay, good. Okay, so let's see how we look inside and see if we can close this up and get some closure to all this. Oh, it smells different in here. It's a lot cleaner. Yeah, this is a lot better. Don't you think living like this is a lot better than how you were?
Yeah.
Not every case that I handle here is taken care of that same day. It's a little frustrating, but if it takes 2-3 visits for me to resolve the case, as long as I get the end result of what needs to be done for that animal, that's the best thing that could happen.
Okay, this here, the violation they gave you, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to have them reduce the $5,000. Okay, you did everything I told you. You took care of the animals. You've cleaned up. I try to be, sympathetic and, try to help the person. They're trying to help these animals, and they're not. They're not helping the animal, and they're not helping themselves in the condition that they're living. If you stay like this with the way you are now, you should have no problem, and you'll be okay. Hope so. He's going to be a lot better here. He can maintain 4 dogs. He's keeping them outside. There's plenty of shelter, water, food out there. So, I think we've done a pretty good job here in, in helping him and more important, helping the animals to be in a better environment than they were.
Salgado will continue to monitor the case to make sure the situation doesn't get out of hand again. It's a good result and a fresh start for Rodriguez. In West Palm Beach, Sherlock, the dog with mange, has been brought to veterinarian Dr. Linda Abbott. Big Dog Ranch Rescue have agreed to take on his care and want to find out how serious his condition is and if anything can be done to help him.
Now, and you said that they tested and found demodectic mange?
Yeah, I guess they did 3 different scrapings on the dog, and they all came up negative for sarcoptic.
There are pros and cons either way. Sarcoptic is bad because it's contagious, but it's pretty easily treatable, as opposed to demodectic, which there may be an underlying immune system problem.
Yeah.
So when you see it in an adult dog running rampant like this, sometimes it's a concern because it means their immune system is not really up to par.
Yeah.
Now it also could be through, a poor diet, neglect.
Abbott will perform a series of skin scrapes to confirm the diagnosis. Then Sherlock will be started on a course of medications and dips to help heal his skin. Thanks to the rescue group, he's going to receive the care he needs, but it will take months for him to fully recover. Despite being rejected by his family, he's slowly learning to rebuild his trust in people. Hopefully, with treatment, Sherlock will have the chance to be part of a family again.
There is hope in this case. I don't like to give up on anything, but we rarely see it this bad.
He will get a great home. We're very careful about that.
Back at Animal Services, lead investigator Luis Salgado is on a mission. He's received some information about one of his old cases. 2 weeks ago, he and fellow investigator Fernando Casadoval ambushed a man who was hoarding 15 dogs and 10 cats in squalid conditions.
I got 12 inside.
Salgado insisted 2 of the cats receive immediate vet care, and the hoarder give all except 4 of the dogs away to homes where they can be properly cared for.
Okay, you did everything I told you. You took care of the animals. You've cleaned up. If you stay like this with the way you are now, you'll be okay.
But Salgado has just received an alarming tip. The dogs are back.
Just when you think a case is closed and it's done with, and you don't have to go back, everything was taken care of, and you're satisfied with what you did, something like this happens. You get a call again, and here we are, back out here again, back to the same thing.
Salgado knows hoarders frequently reoffend, but he needs to verify the tip. He sets off on the 30-mile journey to the property in Homestead, where he hopes to catch the hoarder in the act. But a 2-hour drive away, there's better news for one of Animal Services' recent rescues. At Big Dog Rescue Ranch in West Palm Beach, Sherlock is about to be introduced to his temporary home. Here, Shannon Maldonado and President Judy Stith will care for him while he starts to recover from his skin condition.
Hi, bud. Welcome home. Temporary, but good. Bud, let's go. Come on, come on. What are you gonna do? You gonna play? Are you gonna play? Come here.
The idea behind Big Dog Ranch was to save and rehabilitate lost or abandoned animals. And with the economy being in desperate shapes, more and more people are losing their homes and thus losing their animals. So we try to help both the shelters, the pounds, and the homeowners that have to surrender.
Do you want a ball? Cookie! Cookie! Not a ball.
We have a number of different areas. On this side is where we feed the dogs in the morning, and then in After breakfast, they go out into these large paddocks that we have that run up the property line, in which there's about 10 paddocks, so they're all double fenced, and we can separate dogs, but they all get their exercise areas. Then for our water dogs, there's the pond that they can go into, and it's doggy paradise.
You want to see him, man? You don't need to hold your hand over there.
It's going to take 3 or 4 months to rehabilitate Sherlock and get his fur back and get the mange handled. And he will be in the paddocks and playing with other dogs, and other than his mange, he's pretty healthy, and he's friendly, so he'll have playmates here and he can establish kind of his routine here. And then after the 4 months, he will be adoptable, and we will suit him with a family and hopefully follow up on him through the course of the rest of his life. Come on, Charlotte.
Come on, Sherlock, come on. Come here, come on.
After such a tragic start in life, Sherlock is surrounded by friends who will give him all the love and attention he could wish for. And 60 miles away in Hialeah, there's also good news for the rescued Palomino. Since her rescue, she's been slowly gaining weight under the watchful eye of her 2 new friends. Michelle Wilcox and her daughter Kayla have grown deeply attached to her since they found her starving in a stable. Her owner never came to claim her, and she's now thriving under the foster care of the South Florida SPCA.
We named her Lucky because she really was lucky, and it was just meant to be that we were there. When we first picked her up, we could see every one of her ribs, which is the last thing that happens, which means they're at the point where they really need some intervention. And when we saw her, we were just devastated. I couldn't believe that somebody would allow an animal to get this bad. She's had her feet done. We have been coming out here regularly and grooming her and giving her baths, and she looks wonderful compared to what she looked like when we brought her here. We visit her every single day.
At nearly 25 years of age, Lucky is too old to be ridden, but will be well looked after for the rest of her days.
I'm really happy to see her feeling better. I don't know, it's just really nice to have a feeling that I actually helped a horse. Even if she goes to a retirement home, I'd probably be able to visit a lot and say hi and see how her life's going. And I don't think I'll ever forget about her.
Over in Homestead, investigator Luis Salgado has arrived at the hoarder's home.
Oh, man. I hear a lot of dogs barking in there. This is ridiculous. Oh. One dog.
The hoarder isn't in, but Salgado recognizes some of the dogs he said he'd given away.
There you are, buddy. 3, 4 dogs. You see what's in the backyard. 2, 3, 4. I have 8 dogs so far. 4 inside the house, 4 out in the backyard, which were the original dogs that he stayed with. And there's another dog in there that's 9. This is unbelievable. He's actually lied to me. So, you know, I'm angry at this because, you know, if something like this would have happened, you know, where he says, hey, you know, the people I gave the dogs to gave them back to me because they couldn't handle them or whatever, and he called me and be honest with me, you know, I would work with him. But right now, I'm assuming the worst. He lied to me. He hid the dogs. You know, it's like he just threw all this in my face and says, you know, I can do what I want. I'm going to keep these dogs. And it's very frustrating, and, you know, I need to get down to the bottom of this.
Salgado will be back. The hoarder has had his last chance. It's been 2 weeks since investigator Luis Salgado started working on the hoarder case. Now that he's confirmed a tip that the hoarder has reoffended, Salgado is heading out to confront him and put an end to the case for the sake of the animals.
In most hoarder cases, we'll have to go back. you know, they'll hide the animals for a couple days somewhere. You know, I've had them where, you know, they've hidden them in part of a room, and they've let you in the house, and they said, well, you know, all the animals here, these are the only animals I have. And then you'll go, well, what about that? Well, no, that room is dirty right now. You know, the whole house is dirty. But, you know, like I said, in their head is, I'm doing the best for this animal. No, you're not.
Rodriguez is waiting for him. He's agreed to cooperate and sign over some of the dogs, but it's a tough decision.
I'm very upset.
No, I understand, but it's you yourself have told me every time I've talked to you, you need help. It's been overwhelmed. What are you going to do? How many animals are you going to give me?
The 3 dogs that I have there.
The 3 dogs are inside the house?
Yeah.
Okay. This one came back, right?
Yeah.
Because I saw him in the window. Yeah. He's one of the ones I'm going to take, right? Or what'd you do with the Rottweiler?
The one is no longer here.
Okay, because you had him here.
Yeah.
What happened to the Rottweiler?
These 2 are far away. They are at a place called Zephyr Hill.
What's the situation with the cats? You're going to let me look at them and see which ones are
You know
good?
where they are.
Yeah, okay. No, don't go anywhere until I'm finished here, and then we can discuss everything and we can get everything done.
Animal Control Officer LeVar Baker arrives to help collect the 3 dogs Rodriguez has agreed to surrender.
Okay, I got 3 here. Okay, I've seen 3 already, and they're very skittish. They're hiding behind the stuff. You know, these dogs have really had no human contact at all. You got one. Okay. Are you ready? Let's go out with these 2, and then we'll come back. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come on.
The dog's behavior confirms that the hoarding has left them unsocialized and afraid of human contact.
This is a little shepherd mix. No attention to this dog. Just having him in the house, fending for himself. No actual human contact. You know, when you have 15 dogs or you're caring for 10, 15 dogs, it's hard to individualize each dog. And this is what happens with this, where you can't even come near them.
Hoarding has also taken its toll on Rodriguez, who's struggling to keep the house clean.
Tell me, this is going to alleviate you, right? Of coming in here and having to do this every day?
Obviously. I got enough to do.
Exactly.
Salgado and Baker's last job is to check the garage where Rodriguez was housing 10 cats.
4. Okay. Plenty of water, plenty of food, 5 cats. 6 cats. See, I didn't see that one. That one looks like it may have some type of skin condition or something, so I may ask him to give me that black cat. He's got a droopy ear on him, you know, from probably the mange or the skin condition he has. We're here mostly for the welfare of the animals. You know, I can't make a person live in sanitary conditions or make them clean their house. You know, it's the welfare of the animals is our basic concern. Right now, you know, I only see 1 cat with a little bit of skin condition. I'm going to try to get him to give me that one. This may look horrible in here, but, you know, it's an open area. They have clean litter boxes. They have water. They have food. So they have a little air conditioning. So it's a lot better here than inside the house.
The cat needs medical help. With Rodriguez's permission, Salgado takes it back to the shelter. Along with the 3 dogs, it will be evaluated and, if possible, posted for rescue.
Make sure you put a note on there so I can...
Rodriguez is finally complying with city ordinances. With only 4 dogs and 5 cats, he can spend more time giving his pets the care and attention they need. Salgado will continue to keep an eye on the property, but for now is happy to close the case.
I'm going to try my best to get them out to a rescue, or, you know, and do what I can with them. But, you know, at least I know I'm going to be getting the dogs out of this condition and try to get them a better life somewhere else.
100 miles north of Miami, things are already better for the little abandoned dog named Sherlock. He's been adopted by Chris and Stephanie Kellogg and their sons Wade and Jared, and has been renamed Tebow to signal the start of his new life.
I felt like he's already had a rough enough life, so I felt like we could give him a good home.
For 6 weeks, Tebow's been undergoing treatment for severe mange. And while he's still got a long way to go, he's making good progress.
When we first got him from the rescue, Tebow came out of the van, and along came this big bag of stuff with him. I mean, he was on probably 5 or 6 different medications. He had to have a special bath with special shampoo because his skin was so bad. He had absolutely no hair at all. I mean, he was just like one big scab when he came here. I can't believe how far he's come in just a couple of weeks.
Come here, buddy.
His personality is just amazing because it was like he didn't really know he was ugly, you know, when he interacted with everybody. And I also thought I taught my kids a good lesson that, you know, when you go and get something, it doesn't always have to be like the best looking, or, you know, it's not all about looks. Go get the toy.
I think he fits good in our family because everybody likes him and he's nice to everybody. He's a really good dog and he's very lovable.
It's an amazing kind of animal that can go through the problems that he has had, but still recover and be a big part of a new family. Tebow!